What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Koop'd podcast, the podcast that is sweaty. And as always, folks, I'm your host, Koopa, and I record a podcast every now and then where I sit down with my friends and we talk about all the things happening in pop culture, and we are about a week removed from one of the biggest movies of the year, and I had to bring out local Nintendo expert, Mario lover extraordinaire, and a third thing, former podcast host, the former host of the Glentendo podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the Koop'd podcast, I think our longest recurring guests that we've had. I think I've had you for like 6 or 7 episodes at this point. It is none other than my friendo, Super Glentendo. Glenn, what's up, man?
Bro, it's been a while. I was starting to think it was personal, not gonna lie.
It might be. It still could be.
It's like there's a lot of ways to tell someone you don't like them anymore, Kyle. And not having them on your podcast anymore. I guess that's like the new way of being like, dude, I don't ever want to see you, speak to you ever again.
Take a hike, bud. No, listen, obviously, you're, as a former podcast host yourself, you understand the trials and tribulations of recording, editing, post-production, doing all of the trials and tribulations of podcasting. And this is, I think, the second episode I've recorded in maybe about a month. So we've been a little busy. But like we mentioned, we're going to talk about all things the Super Mario Brothers film today. I had to bring on Glenn to talk about that, but again, it's been a while since you've been on the show, and it's been a while. Again, I'm getting back into the process of doing stuff, so let's give the people a catch up. Glenn, what's been going on? How you been? I'll start by asking the Glentendo podcast question. What have you been playing? Anything new? What's been going on? What's been going on? How you been?
All right. So this year, I think for most people, it's been like game wise, this is like the year of like the remake remaster. Like the biggest games that have come out so far are like Dead Space remake, Resident Evil 4 remake, and my favorite, Metroid Prime remastered. So that dropped out of nowhere, obviously, and it's probably the best game on the Switch for me. Like I went through that game twice, like back to back. I just forgot how much I loved it. And yeah, that's definitely what I've been doing most, is like playing old games. Like I've been going through, I actually started playing Resident Evil 4 again, just cause like the remake is out and I kind of wanted to like run through the old crappy one last time. It's like what do they call it when like they call it like a something send off, like where they put a guy's body onto like a boat or like a raft and they set it on fire.
Like a Viking funeral?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing Resident Evil 4. I'm like, I love this game. I played it a million times my entire life. This is the last time I'm going to hit it and quit it one more time and then just never call it again. Because there's one
last ride with Chris Redfield.
There's a younger, sexier version of Leon Kennedy's adventure. Yeah,
and it looks pretty good. I've seen the demo played in the household, but it's fun, and I definitely agree that some of the best stuff that's come out this year is stuff that's already existed. I've had a pretty extensive library of stuff that I've been trying to catch up on myself. I actually, at the time of recording this, I actually just got done playing like a couple of hours of Splatoon.
Whoa, wait, Splatoon 3?
Or Splatoon 3, yeah.
Let's go.
This year for me, for people who don't know who I am or what I do, I'm sure you do if you're a fan of the podcast, but as an esports commentator, I've definitely stayed in my lane when it comes to like a lot of the jobs that I take. And I think, like most genres I've tried to do, I'm trying to push the envelope, expand a bit, kind of push my boundaries elsewhere. And I think, I have some pretty good friends that play Splatoon. When I went to PAX East a few weeks ago, they had like the Splatoon like World Championships like live at PAX, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that place was like crowded, bro. That is a crowd pleasing game. So
dude, I've always wanted to, you already know, like I've loved Splatoon since the first one. And I got into the third one a lot when it came out, but I don't really know how to become part of like that competitive scene. Like I've tried, and it's not like Smash where like you just look up a local and there's one like every other block, You know what I mean? Like you could like find a local falling out of the sky at this point. But like Splatoon is different because I guess it's more online than it is with Smash is. But I don't really know. Like, how do you even go to a Splatoon event? Like, is it just the monthlies? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I like talked to one of my friends about that, and like she was very like, they have like, I think it's a lot like how like older like, shooter games kind of got together, and it's a lot of LAN stuff. So, and I think the community also skews a little bit younger, so it's a matter of just like, I think maybe like once a month you can maybe find something to go to,
Right.
is what I was told. So, it's and I'm the same way. It's something that I've always been interested in. I think back to that E3 a lot. E3 is a hot topic now as of one of the it has been officially canceled. Yeah, rest in power. We can maybe touch on it a little bit since it's topical. But like I remember that E3 year. I think it was E3 2014. I think that's because I think that's the year that Smash got revealed.
Yeah, you want to know how I know which one it was? Because that's the only E3 I ever went to.
That's right. Yeah. I forgot that you went to an E3. I forgot it was that one.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, though. I cut you off.
Yeah. Well, I was saying, because there was like Nintendo was teasing like two really big announcements that, non-Smash related announcements that E3, if I remember correctly. And they were like, yeah, we're launching like two completely new EPs or like IPs. And it's like, all right, cool. And the first one was Splatoon. And everyone was like, cool. Looks fun. And then the other one was Codename Steam, if I remember correctly. And that game kind of, came and went like a fart in the wind.
I am surprised anyone else remembers that besides me. I thought I was the only one. I'm actually surprised that you remember that game.
I'm sweaty, bro. I know my shit.
Yeah, it was like it was made by the same people who made Advance Wars and Fire Emblem, I think. And like it had a comic book art style, but it was set in like colonial kind of America. Like there's like Abe
steampunk.
Lincoln is
Very
in
steampunk.
it. Yeah, like that game was so weird. I remember playing the demo on 3DS. But yeah, I can't reveal how I got in because obviously I'm not gaming press, but I have some sources and I was able to sneak in to E3. And it was a good E3 to go to because Smash Brothers was there for Wii U, and I got to like play in the tournament and win like a medal for like, if you won, like it wasn't like a tournament, but if you beat a bunch of casuals, you got this Smash medal, and it was really cool. And then there was this giant, I didn't watch the direct. I just went to E3. And so when I saw that they had this giant booth with 8 Wii U's, it was like 8 and then 8. And I was like, what is that? And I just see this giant logo that says Splatoon. And I'm like, what? This is a Nintendo game? And then I look at it and I'm like, this looks horrible. Like, what are they? This looks like Nickelodeon, like slime time type of thing. And then like the truth is I wasn't going to play it. But the only reason I played it was because the line for Smash was around the block and there was no one was at the Splatoon line. So I'm like, all right, I'll just play this because there's nothing else to do. And I played it and I was like, this is amazing. And then, I bought it at launch, put 120 hours into it, bought Splatoon 2, bought Splatoon 3. Like, it's one of my favorite games ever now. So yeah.
Let's branch out, Glenn. Let's start a Splatoon team.
Yeah.
Like you, me, and like 2 other people with like full-time jobs that like also have like 401ks and health insurance.
Dude, that's the thing. That's the thing about Splatoon is that like Smash, you could just go by yourself. You know what I mean? You could just go to a local and compete. You could even go to like a major. If you didn't have a local near you, you could fly out. You could go by yourself. Splatoon is a team game where it's 4 people minimum. So it's like, it's kind of hard to get into it. You have to really have a dedicated group. I don't know if you have 4 friends, Kyle. I don't have 4 friends.
I can barely count.
I definitely don't have.
You maybe. You're like a fringe friend, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm not even on the podcast half the time. How am I even going to have you play Splatoon?
I don't even remember the last time I had you on the show. That's how long it's been.
I don't even think I've been on the show. That's how long it's been. Okay?
It's true. Yeah, but listen, shout outs to E3, gunned down in its prime. I remember when E3, that's the best part about doing like a podcast, whenever the fuck I feel like is that like we can just kind of talk about stuff as it's come out in the news. And like I remember, man, like E3 used to be like it was Christmas time for gamers. Like It was one of the you all the big news that you got on your AAA games for everybody was there. It was covered by, back when G4 was like at the height of its fame. they would do live coverage of it every year. They'd live stream the big press conferences. You'd argue with your coworkers and your friends and your brothers for weeks about who won the conference.
Peak fanboyism.
Yeah,
peak
fanboyism. Like some of the sweatiest arguments in the world happen in like E3, like Game Informer like forums, way back in the day. So like, I don't, and unfortunately, I just think the landscape has changed. I think back to that. I forget when the first E3 was, where Nintendo did the first Treehouse event, and they did their first Nintendo Direct. Sort of. But I think that's so, between the pandemic and that, I think the game has just changed.
Yeah, it's anyone who's lamenting E3's fall. It's mostly Nintendo's fault, which is the funniest thing about that. Like you just said, like
I agree.
You know what? The last time that they showed up in person, first of all, Nintendo has been there since the beginning. They're the only company that's been there since the beginning, right? Like the E3 started like in like 94. So it was like right before or right when PlayStation was coming out, but it wasn't a thing yet. And then obviously Sega was there from the start, but like they died pretty later and they weren't.
Rest in power.
Yeah. So Nintendo kind of like made E3 a thing by having like usually all of people's biggest moments at E3 generally are like Nintendo moments. And then the last press conference they had, it was the Wii U launch one where they ended the show with Nintendo Land and the confetti, and it was like the worst show ever. It was like one of the worst shows of all time. And obviously the Wii U
was pretty bad.
Yeah. So after that, they just went to the full direct route. And like I think at first I remember people saying like, oh, this is horrible. Like, they're just not showing up and they're just having their games at the show floor, but whatever. But like they kind of ended up being ahead of the pack. And then now everyone does this direct style thing where they're like, hey, we get to control the narrative. We don't have to have embarrassing moments where like Miyamoto is swinging the Wii remote on stage and it's not syncing up with Link's sword and everybody's laughing. Like that doesn't have to happen anymore. And we save all this money by not having this giant show. So like slowly Sony stopped going. Sony actually pulled out altogether. At least Nintendo still had their games at the show. They just didn't have a press conference. But Sony was like, nah, we're just not going. And then the pandemic, and it was like, this doesn't even make sense anymore. Like the way people get their information, you don't need this kind of show. I don't know. I'm like you, where some of my greatest memories as a game person are E3 moments like Twilight Princess reveal in 2004. Everybody was there. Everybody's here. Smash Brothers, a moment. Even some of the stuff for PlayStation, like the Final Fantasy VII remake announcement, like there's just been amazing stuff. And it's just sad. Like, are we even going to get a direct, like in that same, when we would have had E3? Because we didn't, I don't think we did last year. Last year was just,
I don't remember.
Nintendo did nothing. Yeah. Like the year before we did, because I remember that was when Metroid Dread got announced. But then like last year, they just didn't do anything. Like E3 happened, or when E3 was going to happen, and we thought we were going to get a direct, and we just didn't. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough stuff, man. Like E3 to me was always like the only time of the year where it was the time of the year where like gamers can be like traditional like sports fans or something like that. Like you would watch grown men stand on studio desks losing their fucking minds. Like the memory to me that always stands out from E3 was the year where Final Fantasy VII remake got announced, and then like I think I was watching like a GameFAQs like live stream of what was going on, and everyone was popping off because like oh my god, Square Enix broke the glass, they finally did it, it's happening. And then immediately after that was the Shenmue 3 announcement, and I watched grown men stand up on their desks screaming, and it was phenomenal. Like you only really ever get stuff like that at E3 where like people just like collectively lose their mind. It was like I said, it's Christmas time for gamers, but like you mentioned, between the pandemic and like other studios showing that like they don't really need the yearly trade show to showcase their stuff. Like I went to one of the biggest trade shows on the East Coast a few weeks ago, and I remember even from when I went to PAX in 2020, like I went to PAX right before the lockdowns happened. So like everything was still pretty like, full steam ahead, but like everybody just had a bottle of hand sanitizer by their stuff. Sure, whatever. But like the big Animal Crossing demos were there, and like all of like the really big stuff. To like, if you don't start lining up for the convention at 4 a.m, you are not going to get to stand in line for this stuff type beats. So like,
Yeah.
and even like going back now, it's just like it's a lot of indie games. It's a lot of just stuff that just doesn't quite hit the same. So I think we've moved into the digital age now, where Nintendo doesn't even go by like a quarterly schedule, like we mentioned for their E3 stuff anymore. It's just kind of like whenever they feel like it's just like, yeah, we can do a direct today. It's like I got nothing going on.
You just wake up and you're like, oh, there's a direct, okay. Like I actually think, you know what? The more I think about it, it's actually kind of good E3's dead, because the more I think about it, dude, like the last few years before the pandemic, like Nintendo had they were getting better at their showings. And I think they were the only one that would kill it. Like they would announce games that were imminent. They would only announce stuff that was gonna come out for the most part within like the next 6 months. So like Metroid Dread was announced and then it was out 6 months later, and like a bunch of games like that. But every Sony and Microsoft's press conferences were just they were getting like so bad, where it was like announcing games 3 years before they're even gonna come out. Like there are games they announced and showed at pre-pandemic E3s that are like just now coming out or aren't out at all. Like there are just so many games like that. Like that Dead Island game just never came out. Like, I don't know. A lot of those press conferences became hard to watch because they were just like, a lot of these games, first of all, look the same and look very similar. And it's like, okay, here's 45 zombie games. Here's 45 like, Space Marine games, and then all of them are just TBD and might be delayed until the next generation, and you never know if they're ever going to come out. And like that was just a mess. Like E3 just became too much for people to do every year. So if anything, it's better the way things are now, honestly.
Yeah, I gotta say, I will miss the technical difficulties. Obviously those are always fun to watch.
The Wii music moment.
The Wii
the drummer guy. It was just so embarrassing. That was the worst moment.
Legendary for one of the worst games ever made. By the way, that game sucks. That game's terrible.
A blemish on Miyamoto's record. Wii music, bro.
Dare he? But it's okay. I think he's made up for it since then. Guy's got a career in this industry. But that was a big one. Obviously, like oh my god, I think of
for me it's Mr. Caffeine on the. I don't know if you remember that guy. Ubisoft had a conference and they had a guy. The host was this guy, Mr. Caffeine, and he was like, dude, if you're listening to this, guys, just pause this podcast.
Oh, is that the $599 guy?
No, that's the PlayStation 3 reveal, which is also hilarious. But
$599.
Yeah. But go type in, pause this podcast, go to YouTube, type in Ubisoft E3 Mr. Caffeine, and it's just like just look up a supercut of this cream. I feel so bad. This dude is like eternally a meme. Like he's just done. There's no way that you can do anything ever again after this. It was so bad.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I think Ubisoft is also the conference that always had like Aisha Tyler host it. Like they always had like some celebrity hosting their stuff.
That was after they had Aisha Tyler host it, because the fallout from the Mr. Caffeine year was so bad that they went with her and she did great. And then everyone was like, okay, just bring her back every time. Like never let this caffeine guy out. So funny. Funny.
Get this guy away from me.
Dude, it sounds like truly a meme. Mr. Caffeine. Like, what?
Yeah, it sounds like a Rick and Morty character when you spin it like that. Like, it just does not make any sense. That guy's fun. The Ridge Racer guy's funny. PS3 reveal guy's funny. Racer,
and no one cared. Just crickets.
Yeah. That was a fun one. I think of Mr. Iwata's speech where he talks about being a gamer. That was
yeah.
That's a fun one to look back on.
My body is ready. The Nintendo ones turned out to be like kind of good in a meme that was actually hilarious. Like my body is ready.
So good, legendary, truly legendary stuff. That and also all of Devolver Media's conferences ever were just fucking art. They were fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so rest in power, King. Gun down in your prime. We'll miss you. I look forward to Nintendo's Direct coming around. Say June. Say safe enough time.
Yeah, but you know what? They also just
maybe
announced
August, September.
Yeah, they just announced that they're doing like a live event, like kind of like an E3, kind of similar to what they would be doing E3. They're doing in September in Seattle. I'm actually gonna maybe
Oh,
try to
that's
go to
right.
that because it's open to the public and stuff. And
I might also be there.
oh, okay, that might we'll link up
Maybe.
about that.
We'll talk.
We'll have a back channel for this one. But yeah, they might have. I'm assuming they'll have a direct before that, and then whatever games they announce might be at that thing. Also, to be honest, okay, so Zelda's about to come out in 4 weeks, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say we can probably talk about that a little bit
And
too.
we don't know anything else that's coming out this year besides Pikmin 4, which thank God, by the way. But anyway, Pikmin 4 is in the summer, right? And then outside of that, the rest of this year is like just a big blank canvas. And that's not like weird at all. Like that's how Nintendo's been operating in the last few years, where like they just focus on the 6 months and then you have a direct and it tells you the back half. So I imagine after Zelda, once Zelda comes out, right, you're in E3 territory when E3 would be. And maybe they'll be like, all right, here's what's happening the rest of the year. Mario, new 3D Mario, I don't know, some expansion pass for Smash. Who knows? Let's just make things up. Let's throw darts
Pokemon
at the
DLC
board.
too.
Yeah, Pokemon DLC, Splatoon DLC
Not
is
your
already
cup of
announced. Yeah, I wish it was, my friend. We could talk about that another time.
We could talk about this giant Premiere Ball that I have on my desk right now. So
That's sick.
it's actually a if you open it up, it's a. I can do this in one shot. It's actually a deck box.
Oh, you weeb. You nerd.
Yeah. So for those of you at home that don't know, I am now a connoisseur of the Pokemon card game. So I have I have store credit at a shop that I like.
But do you have, sir, a Pikachu notebook?
I do not. But I want you to guess the Pokemon I have that's in my hand right now, Glenn. I want you to guess.
Oh, I already know who it is.
Who is it?
It's SQ, the cube guy, the ice cube guy.
Actually, it's not. It's a Pokemon near and dear to your heart.
Is Snorlax?
It is Snorlax.
Let's go. I'm being honored on this podcast today.
What can I say? Yeah, I got him in my display cases. Yeah, all stops, man. But yeah, so Zelda trailer dropped today. That was news. Cool stuff. I don't know if you watched it or not, but
you already know I don't watch anything Zelda, bro. I have not seen a single thing from that new trailer or the last one. I'm so excited about the game. I'm gonna buy it. I heard that it's like not long and that like, they've been pretty good about not they're always so conservative with what they show you. Like I'm sure I could watch it and it wouldn't spoil, but I just want to go in as fresh as possible. So I did not see it, but I did see many people talk about it, and I heard one thing. I keep seeing the same phrase repeated over and over again. Multiple people are saying this latest trailer gave them goosebumps. I keep hearing that.
It was pretty good.
Damn.
Yeah. Again, as someone, I've finished Breath of the Wild. I'm ready to jump into this game. Both feet in. Very excited. I came to I finished Breath of the Wild, 4 years after the fact, 5 years after the fact when it came out. So I'm very much looking forward to playing that game in its entirety. And yeah, this trailer was awesome, man. These cinematics look sick. I'm excited to explore this world again. I'm excited to get my hand on all the cool stuff that's being shown in the trailers. I haven't even watched most of the trailers myself. I'm a trailer guy. I really don't care about that stuff, but like I'm excited. And that comes out less than a month from now, which is insane.
I can't believe it's finally here, dude. So excited.
I can't believe it's April.
Yeah, actually, I just can't believe it's April. Like, it's already 5 months. We're 4 to 5 months into this year.
It was 90 degrees today, Glenn.
Oh, I know. I was toasting, bro.
It's hot. Yeah, it's definitely a sweaty boy summer for sure. But
yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm the biggest Zelda fan ever, so that's why I don't watch any of this stuff. But yeah, I'm just like, my expectations are obviously always really high because I feel like they've never put out a bad mainline Zelda game, and even the worst one is still really, really good. But this one is like I feel like Breath of the Wild, I think people would agree that it's phenomenal, but you could kind of tell that there's room for improvement there. And so my expectations for this one are like really high. So, because I expect this one to nail everything that maybe they didn't do in Breath of the Wild. And like, I don't know. I mean, this is going to be this is the most anticipated game for me probably ever. I don't think I've ever wanted to play a game more than I want to play this game.
I am very excited for sure. Again, you've stripped me of my title of Fairweather Zelda fan. I can now comfortably say I am a Zelda fan, and I'm excited, man. I'm very much looking forward to what comes from this game. Definitely my most anticipated game of the year as well.
Sheesh. So, please be excited. Please be excited.
I am excited. But like we mentioned with the warm weather, you a summer guy? You like summer?
Dude, I was born for this. Yes. I'm so happy that it's already 80 degrees in April. I'm like, oh, the projections for us the year looking good if we're already at 80 in April. I want it to be hot all year round.
Like my body hasn't like adjusted to the fact that like it's like getting this warm already because like I went to a card local yesterday and like I got changed. I went directly from work, so I just grabbed like a pair of pants, like a t-shirt. I'm just like, man, why am I so hot? And then I really looked at that. I was like, oh wait, I could have grabbed shorts. This would have been great. But lo and behold, it's my own fault. But with the warm weather comes the summer blockbusters. We've left you guys waiting long enough. It is now time to talk about my most anticipated movie of 2023. More than any Marvel movie, more than any comic book movie, more than I'm pretty excited for Oppenheimer. I'm not even gonna front about that.
Oh,
that movie's gonna be sick.
Right.
That's gonna be a very good movie. But instead, we are here to talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yahoo.
It is here. It is out. Wahoo! Yahoo! Indeed. So again, this is it's a computer animated adventure film based on the Nintendo Mario franchise. For you that might not be inclined, directed by Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic, and shows it has some recognizable names in it. If you've lived under a rock for the last year and a half. Features the voice talent of Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor, Joy, Charlie Day, Jack Black, Keegan-Michael Key, Seth Rogen, and Fred Armisen. Star-studded cast. So we'll give our non-spoiler thoughts for anyone that hasn't seen the movie yet. There's really not much to spoil here. It's a kids movie.
Yeah,
that's your spoiler warning. That's your spoiler for review. It's a kids movie. Go into that with anticipation. But Glenn, as a fan of cinema, as a fan of video games, where was your head at when we first got word that this movie was coming out, and where have you landed a week after the fact, seeing the movie? You've seen the movie twice.
Yeah. So yeah, my reaction was the same reaction I have when anything I like is getting an adaptation. I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna be horrible. I'm just not a glass half full guy, bro. It's just glass half empty at all times, bro. So yeah, I was like, this is gonna be horrible. But then I saw that unlike the other Mario movie, and unlike pretty much any video game adaptation, the original creator, Shigeru Miyamoto, was going to be directly involved. And that's when I was like, okay, you know what? This might actually be good because, his record speaks for itself. So, and obviously the original movie in the 90s had no involvement with anybody from Nintendo. Like they just licensed the characters and they were able to do whatever they wanted with it. And they did whatever they wanted with it. Clearly,
that's definitely a movie.
Yeah, that's definitely a film of some kind that they did a lot of things with. So, my expectations were like a little higher, but I was still like, I don't know, man. It's also like Mario as a movie. Like, what kind of movie is it going to be? Like, I don't know. And then after seeing it, when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, this is actually shaping up to be pretty cool. But I was still kind of trying to hate and be like, nah, this can't be that good. It just can't. It just can't be. Like, Miyamoto there, sure. Animation looks kind of cool, but I don't know. Minions, the guys who made that, and then Chris Pratt's voice in the trailer, and I was like, this is just I kept trying to find a way to hate on it. And then I'm sitting there in the theater and it's playing, and we're there at opening night in IMAX. And dude, honestly, this movie really feels special to me. Like, I haven't felt this happy after watching a movie, and everyone around me is so visibly happy. It is like the most fun, like, good feeling movie I've maybe ever seen. And I've seen like a lot of movies, but like it was so aggressively like fun. And I don't know, I think that in the end of the day, like, that's really what a Nintendo and a Mario movie should be. And I was really surprised, man. Like, I saw it twice and I liked it even more the second time. I kind of want to see it a third time. Yeah, I'm just really surprised with how much I like this movie. And like, everybody I know that I've seen it, like every person I've seen who has seen this movie has been like, this was so fun. This was so good. Just makes you feel good. It's such a like good feeling movie from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head, basically. I'm just going to copy more or less what you said. I'm definitely a little bit more of a glass half full type of guy. Quick
question. Where else can you hit a nail? Can you hit a nail
on the side?
Not on the head? I need to know. I didn't know who the guy is that's hitting nails on the side, bro.
Those are the guys that are like hitting their hands on like,
the low expectation of hitting a nail on the
head. You got me there. Definitely for sure. But no, I'm definitely a little bit more of a glass half full type of guy. It's just one of those things where it's just like, I'm also coming from the perspective of my favorite video game franchise had, 2 successful movies come out by the time that this movie finally came out. And it started, really gaining some traction. So, I have seen where, the video game adaptation has gone. Like, if you told me this, like, 10 years ago, I don't know how long this movie's been in the works for, but if you told me 10 years ago they were going to make a Mario movie, I'd be running for the hills because we have the basis of the terrible 1993 movie. I'm of the opinion everyone should watch it once because, like, I'm someone that takes joy in bad films. Like, I think it's fine.
I'm not.
If it's bad enough to laugh at, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's one of the things about me is like when a movie's bad, I can't even enjoy it. Ironically, I'm just like, this is terrible. I can't do this.
Yeah, I'm definitely like I'm definitely a stranger person where it's just like I don't mind watching a bad movie. Ironically, because I can find. Hindsight's 2020, I guess. I don't know. I'm just built weirdly, but
built different.
Yeah, but like if you told me 10 years ago, I would not be excited. Video game adaptations have just been not good for a long time. You look at things like the Prince of Persia movies, some of the best adaptations are like as far from the source material as possible, like the Resident Evil movies, where it's just like they're Resident Evil by name. That's about it. Like,
that's actually I'm sorry. That's just one of the things I just wanted to like mention is that like, I think one of the reasons why it's so good is also because it works perfectly with everything that Mario already is. So for example, if you go to see like a superhero movie, right, you kind of already know like, okay, the Iron Man in the comic book or the Batman in the comic book is different than the Batman on screen. And it's like characters meet in different ways. And maybe the villain dies in the movie, but he's still alive in the comic books. It's like 2 separate continuities. Whereas this Mario movie, because the games have always been so like abstract and not story driven, they found a way that you could put this movie like at the beginning of all of the games and it perfectly connects and makes sense and nothing interferes. Like that's one of the reasons I loved it so much is that it, as a fan, it just connects all the dots. And it's one of those, it's like the Sonic movie is clearly a different universe. Like it's not connected really to the games, but this works perfectly. Like you could see this movie, you could watch this movie and then play Mario Odyssey. And there's like a through line that works. It all connects. So I don't know. I think that's one of the, sorry to cut you off, but that was like one of the things that stuck out to me that I like really enjoyed about the movie.
Yeah, like I agree. I love that in world, in universe, it makes sense. And like the Sonic stuff, I actually think it works better that way, where it's just like it's completely it's separated from the games, like, you know, just completely, because it's, you know, there's once Sonic starts getting into plot stuff, it gets weird.
Yeah.
So I like that exists in its own universe, that Mario stays completely animated. And I was gonna say, you know, bring up this talking point that like the video games adaptations are in such a great spot right now. And I'd even say since like 2019, Detective Pikachu, I think, is the one that sets this all off. I think if Detective Pikachu tanks, if Detective Pikachu like fucking falls off a cliff, like these movies don't get made, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I might be wrong in that.
I think you're right, because I remember that movie. It was like a big deal that movie did so well, and then all of a sudden you have Sonic, and then you have like even stuff that's not as cartoony, like even Arcane or like the Castlevania Netflix show, or like, you know, right now, obviously we have The Last of Us on HBO, which is doing really well. So like
one of the best shows on television.
Yeah. It's just this year, it's like the best show on television has been The Last of Us.
Did you watch it?
Not yet. And the biggest movie this year has been Mario. So like, hopefully comic book movies are now dead and we can move on.
Yeah, I agree. Like, but like, and I love that you brought that up, because I was gonna mention, you know, The Last of Us, stuff like The Witcher is on Netflix is still really good too. Like, and I think a lot of that has to do with like we mentioned, the creators of these games are directly involved with the story making process. Again, I think the Pokemon Company had a. I don't know if they had any sort of producing credits with Detective Pikachu, but also Detective Pikachu in itself in Pokemon standards is like kind of an oddity. Like it's a point and click adventure game, which is like, sure, why not? Like, I think that is the best way you can get Pokemon on the big screen without it being too complicated for people. But you look at The Last of Us, Neil Druckmann directly involved with, you know, everything that works out, and you pair him with one of the best producers in Hollywood. Like, I forget the gentleman's name, but he's the guy that made Chernobyl, and that's one of the best TV shows ever made.
And
so
HBO is like for me, HBO is like the gold standard of like television. You know, like all my favorite shows are HBO shows: True Detective, you know, The Sopranos, Curb Your Enthusiasm, you know, Real Time. Like they kill it consistently. So yeah, the fact that once
Craig
I saw
Mazin
that
is the guy's name, by the way.
Yeah, like once I saw it was HBO, I'm like, all right, this is gonna be amazing. And also, like, The Last of Us is kind of like it was supposed to be a show or a movie. Like the way that game plays and is designed. Like Mario to me is more interesting how good it is, because like it makes more sense that The Last of Us is a good TV show, because when you're playing that game, it's a little bit more designed about that. But Mario, you're like, how are they going to make a story about this? And I mean, I don't know when you want to go into the spoiler side of things, but I mean, I was kind of surprised that what they did add from us, they gave these characters a lot more depth without it being it's not too deep. Don't go into this movie thinking, you know, it's The Godfather. I think a lot of the critics, like, I'm surprised that the critics are so negative on it. I'm like, you know, did they hear that this was a movie about a Brooklyn Italian American and they figured this is going to be like a Scorsese movie? Like, yeah,
they thought they were getting oh my God, a Bronx Tale. Like,
yeah, like we gotta whack Bowser. You know what I mean? Like, that's not happening.
He was a made man.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. But anyway,
well, yeah, we'll talk about it. I'll finish my point now.
Yeah,
like, again,
I came in. There was some depth in there that was interesting.
Yeah. I came into the movie, to the idea of the movie with a little bit higher expectation. The voice stuff was what kind of threw me off to start, like everybody else did. And we'll talk about that obviously with the spoiler stuff. But yeah, we saw the movie premiere night in IMAX with a bunch, you know, so I was surrounded by my friends and some guy that sat in between us. Shout out to that guy. But
he bought our friend's ticket who couldn't go. Rip Riz.
Dude, he bought that, like, I just got to touch on this real quick. So we bought 8 tickets to see this movie. I can't not tell the story. We bought 8 tickets to see this movie, and one of our friends got sick. Shout out to Riz, friend of the podcast. Got sick.
He
was
PlayStation fanboy. Get sick on Nintendo movie premiere.
The shade. Oh man, I cannot confirm or deny. But you know, he was, you know, fell ill the day of the movie and was like, if you guys can't find someone to go by, you know, 11:30, you know, I'm selling the ticket.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, cool. So he sells the ticket. and we get to the theater. There's a guy sitting in the seat there, and we're just like, well, I'll tell this guy to leave like a little bit. And then this guy pulls out the trap card. He's like, no, I bought this seat. And I was like, oh.
I was so close to being like, you're in the wrong seat, sir. Let me see your ticket. I was going to be that guy. Like, no, let me see it. I didn't do it. But yeah, then one of you guys mentioned and he revealed it. Like it was a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory golden ticket. He just like whipped it out. Like,
run home, Charlie.
Yeah.
But like, dude, it's so... the part that blows my mind is that this guy not only bought a ticket within 20 minutes of our friends refunding it, showed up to the theater on premiere night at AMC in Times Square, pretty much. Not the AMC in Times Square. It was on Broadway.
Not too far,
but not too far. You showed up to an AMC in New York City on premiere nights.
Grown-ass man. Grown-ass man. And not just to any movie, the Mario movie on a weeknight, Tuesday night at midnight.
And he went by himself.
By himself, grown man. So we're taking a group photo, and you just see like all 8 of us, and right in the middle, there's just a random guy that nobody knows. In the middle
Bro thinks he's on the team. It was very funny.
Yeah.
But no, I thought the movie was magical. I thought it was amazing. Well, amazing is a stretch. For an animated movie, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
Was it Toy Story? No. Did it have to be Toy Story? No. I think I knew this movie is going to make a lot of money. Illumination has produced. If you look at some of the box office numbers behind like Despicable Me and Minions, that shit prints money. So Illumination being involved is a big sell. And I thought the environments were beautiful. The movie was vibrant. It was colorful. It's quick as cocaine. Like the movie moves super fucking fast. So,
that's probably one of the only criticisms. We can get into that in the spoiler side of things, but like, it's a little too fast. Like, it's also a short movie. It's only like by today's standards, it's like
an hour and 40 minutes,
20 minutes, something like that. And it's like, it feels really, it probably could have used 10, 15 more minutes to like embellish a few things.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely don't listen to the critics on this one. And trust me, I know, people are going to be like, you're a Nintendo guy. Of course you love this movie. No, like I didn't really like Detective Pikachu. I actually don't really like most movies in general. Don't listen to the critics. The critics are so wrong about this movie. Like movie criticism has already been going so bad for the past few years, but now it's like, it's really at its worst. Like, do not listen to the critics. I can't imagine a single human being on earth going to this movie and not at least feeling like, wow, that was a good time. I feel good about my existential existence on this planet Earth right now for at least another 10 minutes. You will have at least a 10-minute high when that movie's done. It's worth it.
Yeah, that's my spoiler for your review. Remember, you're going to see a kid's movie. This movie's definitely marketed for children, but it was phenomenal.
There's some adult jokes in there. There's some adult jokes in there.
And so let's this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the movie, go back. Matinee tickets are like $11 or like $9. If you're a senior citizen like Glenn is, it's like $6. So like, definitely go check that out. And come back and listen to this when you watch the movie. So, Glenn, where would you like to start in regards to spoilers for this movie?
Let's just start with the beginning of the movie, because I think the beginning it's my favorite part, and it's the most interesting in terms of like, again, going back to if someone told you they're making a movie about Mario, you're thinking, how are they going to do that? Like, how are they going to make this character a little bit deeper? And the beginning of this movie is how they do that. Like, you really see like he's a plumber, right? They really like show you he quits this business to make his own business with his brother, and they spend their life savings on this commercial. And then you see like them try to make money on this plumbing job, and it goes horrible. But the big thing was they showed his family, and it was like, it was like, what? Like, I never even thought about ever, like growing up, I never thought about Mario as like a real person, or like, what would his dad look like? You know what I mean? And I definitely did not expect like, is his relationship with his dad, that his dad is disappointed in him, and that everyone thinks he's a laughing stock, and that him and his brother are losers. Like, in the first 15 minutes of the movie, you have like 3 or 4 different people just clowning Mario and Luigi, calling them idiots or losers or jokes. Like right out the gate, they're just like, nobody likes these guys, or they think very little of them. And even his own dad is like, you're bringing your brother down. So I thought, I don't know, all that Brooklyn stuff, it was just so new and it was surprising. And it actually gives the movie, like, I know for a lot of people, there's not enough story in this movie, but I think what is there is very strong. And I think that whole dynamic, it made me care about Mario. Like, I never cared about Mario like in that way. I didn't even think that was possible. So I don't know. I give them so much credit for taking this iconic thing, adding like a dramatic backstory, and somehow it wasn't cringe, and I actually enjoyed it, and it felt like it was correct. You know, there was a lot of like New York Italian humor there that was really funny. Like, what I do, like, you know, stuff like that.
What I do?
Like,
What I do?
he, like, the one guy at the table insults him, and then his girlfriend like hits him, and he's like, "What I say?" It's like, you just called him a loser. Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. I thought that stuff was way more edgy than I thought for like a kids movie, and like it was really surprising. I really, the beginning of that movie, like everything from the start all the way to when he goes to the Mushroom Kingdom, I almost wish that it was a little bit longer, and I just love that part of the movie. So I don't know. I don't know what you thought of like the beginning, but I thought the strongest part of the movie is that it starts really strong.
No, I agree. I think like the beginning of this movie is like you're also gonna like if you're like an eagle-eyed fan, like you're gonna notice a lot of stuff here, which is why I want to go see the movie like a couple more times because I want to be able to look for like the finer stuff in the background. Like first and foremost, like not mentioned in the cast credits immediately was Sebastian Maniscalco voices Spike, who is Mario and Luigi's former boss from the Wrecking Crew. So that means Mario and Luigi were canonically construction workers. So like that's fun. Like that
stupid Mario brothers.
So funny. See, they couldn't have got a better actor for that. That was I'm a big Sebastian fan, so that was a lot of fun. But like there's so much, you know, like you mentioned, they built so much of this character's lore up. You see Mario and Luigi like eat dinner without gloves on. Like Mario hates mushrooms, like canonically. So like that's funny, and and you know they're really setting up the relationship between these two brothers. Is that, you know, Mario feels terrible that he's dragging his brother down with him, but his brother, you know, Luigi loves his brother, and I love that. I love that about them. And you also see, you know, the vibrance of the neighborhood that they live in. You know, they eat at a place called Punch Out's Pizza, which is again. That should be in the Bronx personally, but you know, I'm nitpicking at that point. But like Mario's TV has an R-wing on top of it. You know, there's a book on the background of his bed that says The Odyssey on it. So like there's little sprinklings everywhere. Like, and you know, they're playing music in the background that like obviously it's iconic. Like if you know all of your Mario favorites are there. And again, it's the strongest part of the movie is the beginning. You know, when they set everything up, and it's funnily enough, I think if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen the original Mario Brothers movie, but I'm pretty sure the movies like plot wise kind of follow the same thing. Where like they got to go save Brooklyn, and then they end up in the Mushroom Kingdom somehow. So, but and then you discover, okay, this is how they're going to tell this story. And that Mario is for all you anime fans out there, it's an isekai. You know, Mario stumbles upon this new world, and we get to see what it's like on the inside of a warp pipe where, you know, your universes are skewed off. Luigi ends up, you know, for a good part of the movie, you know, in, I forget what they called it, like the Badlands or something like that. Like, so it's very Luigi's Mansion. They even play like a little sprinkling of like the music in that world. You know, Mario ends up in the aforementioned Mushroom Kingdom, and I thought that was a bold choice that they make. Is that for a majority of this movie, Mario and Luigi are not together. So what's their? I don't know if you have any thoughts about that now, or like big picture wise. But how did you feel about that decision? Is that it's really setting up as Luigi being like the plot MacGuffin in this movie?
He's the princess that they have to save. So. I actually think that it was a really smart idea because the movie really is more about so they start with the family connection, right? And the movie's called The Mario Brothers, and it's all about the brotherhood thing. Like even before you get to Peach, it kind of makes sense that you have to establish the relationship between Mario and Luigi and why that is an important thing. So I like that they made the movie about that and not about Peach in a way. Like it's just a little bit more of an interesting idea. Then they get separated. And I know a lot of people wish that Luigi was a little, like they kind of showed, again, like if the beginning was a little longer and they had a little bit more of them together, because it does feel like they get separated really early in the movie. So you didn't get to see them be brothers enough, maybe.
Yeah.
Which probably is why people feel like the story is not so great in this movie. But I thought it was so good and I thought it was so clever. And I thought like really it brings it all back home. It's like, you know, they start the movie with, hey, we have to stick together to make this new Mario plumbing business. And then it's going sour. And then they get separated in the pipe. And then he has to save his brother. And Luigi, they kind of like right before they get separated, Mario tells him like everything will be okay as long as we're together, right? And like that's the core of the movie. That's like the core message of the movie. And then they get separated and Luigi gets captured and he can't deal with it by himself, right? And then they even have the flashback of like he's a baby and he's getting bullied and Mario,
which was
like,
phenomenal.
It was
by the
so
way.
funny that it's funny that they found a way to use the baby characters, but it's also funny because it actually made sense. It wasn't just like a cameo. It was like, oh no, this really explains and embellishes the story in an emotional way. It's just funny that worked. But yeah, then the movie obviously at the end, like it wraps up with like Mario's finally, he's getting beat up by everybody. He gets beat up by DK. He gets beat up by the blue shell on the Rainbow Road. He gets beat up by Bowser. He gets beat up by everybody. And then he's in the Punch-Out Diner, back where the movie starts. And he's like, you can kind of see that he's like about to give up finally. Like he has like a black eye. Like he looks roughed up, which is kind of, it was rough for me to see Mario in that condition. They never do that in the games. And he's about to give up. And then he just sees him and his brother on the screen. The commercial comes on and he goes, all right, I gotta keep going. And then he goes out there and he's about to get flamed by Bowser. And then Luigi comes in with the manhole cover. And like, they really tied it all together that it's really just about their brotherhood. And I don't know. I thought it was really great. I definitely could have used more of it. I think in general, the general thing is like, I think the movie was phenomenal on every single degree, except the story could have been embellished a little more. It could use like 10 or 15 minutes to kind of maybe make you care about that relationship a little bit more. But yeah, I definitely, to your point, like I definitely could have had a little bit more Luigi action in there.
Yeah, I definitely think like we mentioned, the movie moves like it's lightning quick how fast the movie goes. Like even when we think that there's some instances where the movie's going to slow down a little bit, like to give you a little bit more of that character stuff, it doesn't. Yeah. And like, again, it's a kid's movie, you know, you got to keep the product moving. But I agree. I would have really liked maybe, you know, like I said, 10 or 15 more minutes of just like some more conversation stuff. Because to touch on the voice acting, you know, for one of the many times we're going to talk about it, I really liked Chris Pratt and Charlie Day. Like they were really good together when they were on screen. Charlie Day is like I love It's Always Sunny. Charlie Day is one of my favorite actors. Like he's a really good director too. I've seen a couple of his movies. He's phenomenal, and I thought he was perfect casting for that. Chris Pratt obviously got raked over the coals by everybody. You know, they really showcased his worst qualities, you know, in these trailers. And I feel like they might have done that on purpose. I feel like they were definitely saving, you know, Chris Pratt was fine.
Dude,
he was fine.
Once the movie started, I didn't think about it. Like in the trailer, for some reason, I don't know if it's because of the lines they picked or what, like in the trailers, it just felt like it wasn't right. And then in the movie, it was totally fine. And he actually, not only was it totally fine, he did a great job. Like I've seen the movie twice and I'm like, yeah, that's Mario. Like,
yeah,
I don't know why there was a disconnect, because every other character translated super good in those trailers. Like Peach, obviously Jack Black, like 20 out of 10 in terms of like everything. We could get to that later, but yeah, I think Chris Pratt was great. He wasn't just good. I actually think I'm going to go on record. He was great. And I can't believe how bad he looked in the trailer. I don't even know to this day. It's a mystery how that happened. Like I'm not sure why that happened. I thought it was going to be terrible.
I mean, to be fair, Chris Pratt is like not a bad voice actor. Like I watched, I don't know what all of his voice acting credits are, but I know he also, he was in Onward, which was a Pixar movie that came out like, about like 3 years ago. And he was really good in that too. Like he's just playing this like over bombastic, like big brother type. It's funny. He actually plays a very Jack Black role in that movie. So I said when that movie came out, if this movie came out like 10 years ago, Jack Black would have been this character.
Yeah.
But Chris Pratt was really good. You know, he was very, you know, Mario with a slight New York twang to it, and you know, I think you have to really allow yourself to. I think he might have like wahooed or yippied like maybe like one or too many times. Like I think
there was one too many. Mamma mia, like in slow mo, like they did that 3 different times, and I was like, all right, I get it, man.
Yeah, slow motion as a comedy effect doesn't always work for me, but I thought he was great, and I guess we can use this as a segue to talk about the other voice actors in this. I know who my highlight is. I think this is now where we give Jack Black his flowers. He is, in my opinion, the best part of this movie. No surprise to anybody.
Guaranteed. And again, like, all right, 10 out of 10 in terms of voice acting, like in terms of like picking out a voice for that character. Obviously, there's like a vocal effect or something they do to his voice to make it sound like Bowser. But also Bowser in general, I think was just the best character written into the movie. Like he's hilarious and scary and fun to watch. Like he was just the whole movie could have just been called Bowser. Like and then, you know, obviously by now everybody's heard it. Like this Peaches song, it is hilarious. It's hilarious. And like, it's funny in the movie. And then if you're also like a Jack Black fan, like it's a Tenacious D kind of song, but in Mario. And it's like the best part of the movie. Like, again, just in general, this movie is way funnier than I expected it to be. Jokes are like my life. Like that's what I care about more than anything. I care about jokes more than I care about Mario, more than I care about the Easter eggs, more than I care about them getting all the canonical things proper and all that. If you have a joke in a movie or a show, I need that joke to be really good. And these jokes were so good in this movie. Like not just cringy, ironic, Marvel-esque lines. Like it's actually like really funny humor for adults and for kids. And Bowser was the pinnacle of it. Like the dude, when he's playing the piano and then he slams the piano on Kamek's fingers, and Kamek's like, can I take my hands off now? And he's like, no. That was just hilarious. Like, it was amazing. But you're right. So Jack Black deserves, like, he deserves something for this, like an award of some kind. It was just phenomenal.
Yeah. And from what I read online, this Peaches is eligible as an Oscar for Best Original Song. So
it's like the Nanu of this year. Yeah. Like the kind of memey but great, funny song.
I will ride that song to the ends of time, man. Like I've never been happier to cash in my stock as a Tenacious D fan. I love comedy rock. I love Weird Al Yankovic. I love parody music. Like I love Tenacious D. Like it's genius shit. Jack Black he's a great actor. He's a great comedy actor. And he's a really good singer too. Like he's the whole package, and they do a good job in these trailers setting him up as this. You know what Bowser is. He's menacing. He's scary. He's the villain. He's the big bad.
Yeah.
And then I love that they stay true to the lore of the movie. He's like, he just wants to marry Princess Peach. Yeah. He's like, I want to make her my bride. And then like he was like,
I was so surprised by that because like they did that in Odyssey. But before Mario Odyssey, that wasn't really a thing. Like in Mario 3 or Mario World or Mario 1 or 64, like it's not about marrying Peach. It's just about like you're not even sure why he wants to do it. And you don't really care. It's a Mario game. You just want to have fun playing as Mario and you just want to save the princess. You keep the fact that they kept it all abstract worked in the movie's favor because now they made the movie about these, and they made that like such an interesting thing. I don't know. I know it is kind of, maybe it is a cliche, but I thought it was interesting where it's like, he doesn't want to kill her. He wants to rule the world with her. Like, I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
It was fun stuff for sure. Like he's definitely the highlight. And again, I'm a sucker for like a good 80s power ballad. Like that's right up my alley. I remember when I saw Frozen 2 in theaters and like they were gonna do like the song with the reindeers, and I'm just like, oh god, I'm gonna hate this so much. And then it just turns out to be just like a fucking 80s power ballad. I'm just like, oh fuck yeah, sign me up for that. Sign me up for like the Michael Bolton shot where it's just like you're coming in from different angles and stuff like that, talking into a hanging mic. Like sign me up for that shit every day of the week. Like that's another part we'll touch about, in a little bit, where it's like this movie is so it's it's so 80s while also being such a modern movie. It's so awesome to see. Like the other person I want to touch on is Seth Rogen. Again, another one where everyone kind of like perked up in their seat. They're just like, I don't know how this is gonna work, and I thought it worked perfectly. He's in contention for like also one of like my favorite characters in the movie. Like he's great. I don't know how you feel about Seth Rogen as an actor. I'm personally, I'm into pot smoking movies, so it's like I think he's funny. But like,
yeah, he's definitely. I've always, he's been in a lot of classics at this point, like 40-Year-Old Virgin, like God, why am I forgetting? Superbad, like so many. There are a million. And what's funny about him in this movie is that like he's the only one who's not really doing a voice. He's just doing his own voice.
He's just Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
Yeah, he's just Seth Rogen, but it really works. Like, dude, I have to give them so much credit because like they captured the vibe of these characters in like everyone's vibe is on point. Like even though DK doesn't really sound like Seth Rogen in the games, it feels right when you're watching the movie. It just does. And he has some of the funniest lines in the movie. Like when he's, to this day, spoiler, but like you and I have laughed about this since
the best
we saw
joke
it.
in the movie.
The best joke in the movie that was like a kind of like edgy, and I was like a little surprised it was even there. Is like there's a point where after they're on the Rainbow Road and they get blue shelled, Mario and DK get thrown into the ocean and they're fighting. And like they're rivals, like that's really at the core of the relationship. If DK is not just like a fun pal that Mario has, it's like he's a good guy, but they're rivals. Like they're kind of like always trying to get each other. And
I hate you.
They get swallowed up by a giant fish. They're sitting there in the belly of the fish, thinking that it's the end of their life, and they're just reminiscing. Again, it gets a little deep where he's like, yeah, well now I'm gonna die in this thing next to you, and my dad thinks I'm a joke, and then Mario's like, yeah, well, my dad thinks I'm a joke too. And then DK it's like really sentimental and serious. And DK just turns to him and he can't resist. Yeah, well, your dad was right. Like that line is godlike. I was just so not ready for him to just be mean. It's like, dude, you guys are about to die. This guy's like talking about his dad not liking him. And then you have to like stick a knife in him. It was so funny. That's the best line in the movie. Your dad was right.
It's like the perfect like cliche moment in a movie where like the rivals and enemies like put their differences aside to like figure something out. Like it's totally setting up for like the cliche movie trope.
That's why I think it works so well, because it's like you'd think this is the part where DK goes, you know what, we should be friends and work together to get out of this guy's belly, and instead they still do that, but like he literally just makes fun of him instead. It was so funny.
He literally just doubles down on it, and it's so funny.
Yeah.
Again, like I love Seth Rogen's work. He's phenomenal. Also has his hand like a lot of like producer credits. Like him and his writing partner Evan Goldberg, like they produced The Boys. Like they have their hands in a lot of projects that are really good. So like I'm happy Seth Rogen got his roses. Other than the standout character for me, like outside of the main cast, I have to give a shout out to Luma Lee. Confirmed to be the Luma that makes a cameo in this movie. We'll talk about some of the post credit stuff of like where we thought the movie was going to go. There is I think 2 post credit scenes.
Yes,
there's 2 post credit scenes. So we'll talk about what those entail. But there is a Mario Galaxy reference in the form of a Luma that is captured in Bowser's prison. Also, I found it is voiced by one of the co-creators' daughters, and she voices Luma Lee. You might recognize him as the Luma that gives you a power-up like halfway through a level in like Super Mario Galaxy if you feed it enough star bits. But instead, it's a nihilistic funny Luma that just wants to die.
Again, it was just like a little too... It was like they let me write a character for this movie. Like just a super colorful, fun movie, and then there's this really obscenely dark character that is like cheerfully dark, like wishing for death. Like it was just so funny. I don't know. Again, like that's what I mean by like the humor really caught me off guard. Like it was just really funny and really creative. And that character is probably the funniest character in the movie. It was just like, why? Like, oh my God.
the sweet relief of death. It's so funny.
I also
like,
I love that all the other prisoners, like, I think it's like the second time that you see them, she's going on some like another existential rant, and everyone's like, "Shut up! Like, make her stop!" It was so funny.
It's so funny. Oh man, that's a scene stealer. Again, there's just like little cameos like that all over the place. Diddy Kong makes an appearance. Donkey Kong Jr. makes an appearance. Pauline is the mayor of New York City in this movie. Political parties, not to get political on this podcast, but she's
That's hilarious.
Don't quite know where she's leaning, especially with the way that the streets are in New York. I don't know, man. I think
she's in all red, bro, and she's, I don't know. It could be a Reagan Republican. She could be someone that wasn't. You don't even know. Like, she could have just not been 80s. Home on. Yeah, she might not have been home on January 6th. We have no idea. We have no idea how deep it goes.
Trickle down Paulinomics or something.
Yeah.
So that's a fun little cameo. Do you want to touch on any of the other voice actors? Anybody else you want to give credits to or talk about?
Let's see. I mean, Anya Taylor-Joy was really good. Charlie Day was really good. You know who I want to shout out? So right in the beginning of the movie, obviously, like, when this movie was even announced, before even Chris Pratt was even like announced as Mario, everyone was wondering, like, is Charles Martinet going to just be Mario, and how are they going to do the voice? And right when the movie starts, it starts with that commercial, and in the commercial, Chris Pratt is doing the traditional Mario voice in the commercial. And when the commercial's over and it zooms out and you see Mario and Luigi watching it, they look at each other and they're so happy with the commercial, and they're like, "Oh, like, the voice wasn't too much. You didn't think it was too much." And then they cut to like another side Italian character who's credited in the movie as Giuseppe. And he's like, "It was a perfect." And that's Charles Martinet. Obviously, everybody was like, "Oh, that's Charles Martinet." So it was cool how they eased us into the new Mario voice by like having Chris Pratt do the impression. And then you hear his actual Mario voice, and then you hear the original Mario voice. But the other thing I found out is that later, Charles Martinet actually has another role in the movie. He's actually the voice of Mario's dad, which is obviously very poetic because he's literally awesome. Mario. But, that was like a more dramatic role for him, because it wasn't just like, the Mario Yahoo thing.
Yippee! Yeah.
So I thought he was really good. I thought Sebastian was really good. Who else? I mean, Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong. I think he's the one that was like a little like, it wasn't bad, but I was like, something was a little off maybe.
Fred Armisen's definitely like that type of guy too, or just like either like his style of comedy or you don't. Like, I think it was
I think he's hilarious, but I wasn't
agree.
sure
I think he's
maybe,
very funny.
Yeah, like, I'm not sure about that voice, but I think that's it.
Keegan-Michael
Everybody
Key was also really good too. Like,
yeah.
He was really funny. Like, come on, Mario, let's go. He's just like, he's got this dweeby little voice. Like, I'm like, that's the voice direction. That's the voice I was like the most worried about. Like, obviously everybody's like pretty much talking in like their like normal speaking voices. Like, if anything, I think if someone suffers the most from that, it's Anya Taylor-Joy, because like she's kind of like, her like Peach's writing doesn't necessarily like blow you away, but I think the character is like super interesting. Like, they definitely try to like girl boss up Peach a lot. Obviously we're in the summer of the Barbie movie, so I mean, we got to do it.
Yeah, and I think they actually did it in a way that didn't feel pandery, and it actually made sense. Like, when they explained Peach's like origin, because I went into the movie going like, okay, it's gonna be really cringe that they're gonna make her into like this badass character, because like, I understand that, like, obviously you don't want to represent every woman as like, oh, this helpless, person that bakes a cake and Mario needs to save them. I totally get that. But Peach is like, it's hard for me to believe that Peach is anything but that, because that's just so ingrained with who that character has been.
She's a damsel.
She
exists to be kidnapped.
For people that don't like damsels in distress stories, you could go play Metroid, where you're like a badass bounty hunter, and maybe Mario, it doesn't have to be for you. Like, not all of these female characters need to be the same. So I was a little worried that I was going to be like, oh my God, they're going to just ruin Peach, because she's just going to be just like every other modern, female character, where they make her really tough, and Mario's the main male is really dumb, and she needs to help, whatever. But they did a great job with it. Like, it made sense. Like, the way they tell you her origin story and everything, it made sense. So I wasn't mad about it. I have a friend who loves Peach a lot, and she does not like the way they did Peach in this movie because she likes the girly, like, maybe girly is not the right word, but like she likes the more like mushy and soft version of Peach. So I thought it was great. So, and I came into this movie wanting to hate it.
Yeah.
So they got me, they won me over.
She's also one of two people that like successfully pull the fire flower power off. Because like we'll talk about like the others. Well, we'll talk about all the other like references at the end of the podcast to wrap up. But that was fun. I just like the character stuff they added. Like again, Peach is always just she's used as a plot MacGuffin. She's the one that gets kidnapped. She's the one you never get to experience anything with. And then they give her a backstory. She's a baby that just wanders into this pipe somehow and gets raised by the Toads, and then they elect her into power through some.
It makes sense that they'd be like they're all helpless, and that if she's their princess or their queen or whatever, she can't be helpless too. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it made sense, and also because the movie is about the brothers and saving the brother. I don't know. I thought it just worked, and like I didn't think it was. I thought it was really cool to watch Peach do cool things. I get that. For a lot of people, it might be a little too PC and like it is kind of cringe in that way. But I think that in this movie, it was great. So
unanswerable questions. I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar Peach is from New York. What Peach is definitely from New York. I feel like they said this out. What borough of New York is she from?
Oh my god,
what neighborhood is she from?
Definitely from Long Island. Not even like it's not even a question, dude.
How deep into the island are we getting?
Definitely from Long Island, bro. I don't know from where, but trust me when I say she's from Long Island, bro.
I think she comes from money. I think Peach lives in Tribeca.
Oh my god, I don't know. She might be. Might be one of those like Upper West Side kids. I don't know.
Yes.
Upper East Side. I don't know.
She might vacation in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
Like I feel like she's either from like one of like the best neighborhoods or she just like exists in like a really awful place. Like,
oh my god, dude. Also, shout out to that her like Toad. What's that guy's name? Toad, the main like old Toad, like the wise one.
Toadsworth.
Yeah. So his voice in this movie is hilarious. He's like super deep and dark voice, like Bowser will destroy us. Like he's so like serious. It's so funny.
We can't fight. We're adorable.
Yeah. And then there's like the one Toad with like the deepest voice you've ever heard in your life. It's like the Mufasa Toad,
Yeah. Some other stuff I wanted to talk about, obviously, the environments. Vibrant. We mentioned that New York City is, popping with references. The Mushroom Kingdom itself, there's a lot of stuff, to pay attention to. There's Toads walking around with giant coins. Curious what the conversion rate on that is. There's like a vintage shop. I love that Mario struggles to platform. Like he just like everyone just has to accept there's just floating blocks everywhere in these places.
It was like playing a Mario game for the first time, where like you suck at it and you have to learn how to get good at this, and you watch him get good at it throughout the movie.
Yeah, that's fun. We get some looks at some other areas in the world. There's obviously a desert kingdom. There's like a mountainous kingdom. There's Yoshi's Island, which canonically exists, and we'll touch back on that in a second. But I liked that loved Bowser's airship. I loved the kingdom of the penguins. I thought we maybe might get like a Mario 64 joke in there somewhere, but
where him throwing the penguin over the edge or something, that would have been hilarious.
That would have been fun. Obviously one of the two of the standouts for me, obviously, like the Kong Kingdom, a lot of fun, great. That's where a lot of our Mario Kart segments like gets, and I like that they were able to introduce that. Like I was like, how are they going to make this work, man? Like Rainbow Road is such like a, it's just known as a really hard level in Mario Kart. Like everybody knows Rainbow Road. My mom knows Rainbow Road. Like, and it's iconic. So my thing was like, how are they going to introduce this in a way where it feels like organic? And then they just introduce it like everybody, in order to get around the Kong Kingdom, you have to have a cart. So it's like, okay, they established that you need to drive everywhere, in this neighborhood. And then it's like, no, we got to take the shortcut. We'll take the magic road back. And then we get that cool sequence, obviously, with like, the Koopa shells, the bullet bells, blue shell coming through to ruin everybody's day. That was
Yeah.
that whole sequence was fun. Again, one of the best visual jokes in the movie is when a Kong slips on a banana peel and then just dies.
Oh my God, that was so brutal that's what I mean. Like, it was just like he explodes. Like, like I'm surprised how far they went with some of this humor. Like, it's so rough sometimes. I love it.
And then they also there's a lot of controversy going around it. There's so much licensed music in this movie. Obviously, like No Sleep Till Brooklyn is a big one that pops up. Obviously, during the Kong sequence, Aha's Take on Me is playing.
All 80s songs, like you were saying earlier. It's a very 80s. That's when it clicked for me. Like at first I was like the No Sleep Till Brooklyn one made sense. They're literally in Brooklyn, whatever. And it matched the energy of that segment. But then like when I got to Take on Me, I'm like, huh? Or like I Need a Hero. And then I realized like, oh wait, it's all 80s stuff because Mario is 80s. And like maybe the movie even kind of maybe takes place in the 80s. Like, Mario's playing an NES at one point.
Not only is he playing the NES, he's playing Kid Icarus.
Yeah, I can't believe that of all the games they picked that crap game. Oh my God. I'm glad
that even Mario can't get past the first level in that game.
He's just like, this sucks. This game sucks. Like, who likes that game? Oh my God.
He should really play Uprising is what he should do. But
oh my God. But yeah, I mean, Luigi has a cell phone, so I guess maybe it's not in the 80s.
That plays the GameCube jingle, which is really funny. Like, it's weird. This movie feels suspended from time.
So also sidebar. Apparently there's a Zelda reference in the movie, and I've seen it twice, and I've not caught this Zelda reference. I walked out of the movie going, how do you have a Kid Icarus reference and not a Zelda reference? So I don't know if you caught that.
I didn't. I'm actually reading there's an article on sci-fi.com that like breaks down some of the Easter eggs. I'm just using it as a reference point. Apparently there's a French restaurant in like one of the backgrounds that says Duck Hunt on it. So So that's funny. I don't notice
hilarious.
Yeah, I don't see anything regarding
someone told me
Zelda reference here.
There's a Zelda reference in there.
I don't know. That's a weird one, but yeah, there's some controversy going around of like an unused like Donkey Kong track, and also it's kind of messed up that Grant Kirkhope doesn't get a credit in the credits for the DK rap.
Nintendo's been blowing it on that in general recently. By the way, like Metroid Prime Remastered, it lists when you beat the game, it lists every single person who helped remaster the game. And then at the end, it says, like, based on the work by the original Metroid Prime team, and it just doesn't list anyone. And it's like some of the stuff is literally just copy-pasted. It's not even, like, redone. So I'm like, yeah. And then the DK rap thing, like, they give everyone credit, like, for the music. Like, Jack Black wrote Peaches. Like, he's in the credits. Koji Kondo, some of the other composers from Nintendo. You couldn't give Grant Kirkhope his DK rap? That was that's messed up. Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah, that was tough stuff. But again, I think the music choices were great. Like you have to appease a certain audience of people that can like recognize these tracks in the background. Like obviously all the Bowser stuff, the Luigi's Mansion stuff that plays in the background, all of the iconic Mario tracks. I'm a little peeved that they saved Gusty Gardens for like the
credits.
For the credits. You hear the star music, spoiler alert, Mario and Luigi conquer Bowser in New York City by getting the Power Star, and they play like the
so good. Which is so good. Goosebumps with that one. That one was so good.
And they even do the run, like they do the Naruto run, which is amazing. Like that's fun. I think the music is like, again, it's what makes, that's one of my big things when I watch movies. Like I love music that like takes you in like that, and like it was so good. I thought the soundtrack was phenomenal.
The music was really great. I mean, I also just think like I've been listening to the soundtrack actually on my free time, and and like they even just the original music that they made for the movie, like it's all a completely original score from top to bottom, and then they just have references in there. So obviously like the Peaches song was brand new, but like if you listen to the official soundtrack, like it's just a great score. Like Brian Tyler just did an awesome job, and then like Koji Kondo just added sprinkles on top. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you could have this Mario 3 reference and whatever. It was just, dude, it was great. The music is like a 20 out of 10, which it should be because Mario music is 20 out of 10. And one of the things that everybody knows about Mario, what is like the thing that everybody knows, even people who don't play the games, even before you know what it looks like, everybody knows the Mario theme. My mom can sing the Mario theme. So like that, the fact that they nailed that was also great.
Yep, swing your arms from side to side. Do the Mario, man.
Stop, dude. The rap. I've been listening to. I could do the whole rap. It's so bad. It's so that's something that's so bad that it's actually good. That's something I can enjoy. That Mario rap is it's so funny in the movie that it made me listen to that actual
You'll get hooked
song.
on the brothers. Yeah, if you guys haven't listened to like the original like Super Mario Super Show intro, like
it's on the soundtrack.
It's on the soundtrack.
It's on the soundtrack. I've been listening to it. There's a whole verse that there's a second verse that isn't in the movie that I was laughing. It's so funny.
It's so fucking funny, man. Like
hooked on the brothers. Apparently that's a line someone wrote on a piece of paper and they said it on the song like it makes sense.
I want to give that guy a raise. That
You'll
guy
get hooked on the brothers.
So obviously Mario is nothing obviously without like his cast of friends. Let's talk about the power-ups. So this movie features all of Mario's iconic power-ups, not always gunned by him. We get to see Mario don the cat suit. We get to see him. We also get to see Mario like eat like a super mushroom. And we talked about this in real life, but like I'm really glad they just like show people just eat these things in one bite instead of them just like biting into it like a hand fruit. Like I did not want to know what the inside of a mushroom like that looks like. Like that was gonna terrify me for life,
dude. When I used to play the games, like the older games, I never really thought about it being food. I don't know why. I just thought like you touch it and it has a magical thing on you. So like seeing them actually eat it was funny to me. And like, he got all big and it was hilarious and it was awesome. And it's funny that one of the ongoing jokes in the movie is like Mario does not like mushrooms. So it's it's pretty funny that like,
he's like getting himself on during like the training montage, which also I have a theory that any movie that has In Search of a Hero in it, in its soundtrack, like in its film, is a great movie.
Yeah.
I think back to there's one movie that you still haven't seen Shrek 2 yet, right?
No, I still have not. I've seen Shrek 1.
Okay, well that song is in the soundtrack. And Shrek 2 is praised as one of the best sequels of all time.
Yeah.
And also Bullet Train had that song in the soundtrack, and I love that movie a lot. So any movie that has that song in its soundtrack or in it at all, top tier movie in my opinion. So during the training montage, Mario's is making himself on the verge of sick, eating all these mushrooms, which is hilarious. We get to see like the tiny mushroom.
That gag was so funny.
Yeah, he ate the small one.
Yeah.
That's funny. Princess Peach and Donkey Kong wield the fire flower, which is again, and I'm kind of surprised by that. Like they put Mario in the cat suit, which was funny. Like they give Peach the ice flower. Mario gets to don the Tanuki suit and like the climax of the movie, which is again great. I'm kind of surprised. I'm surprised by two things. Number one, I thought we'd get a cape reference in here somewhere. I thought we'd get the cape from Mario 3. We'd get the wing cap from Mario 64, maybe somewhere in there. Like again, Mario's got a lot of history to cover. Like there's definitely going to be more of these movies to make. So like they're definitely going to make us wait for some of the cool ones. Like, Sonic made us wait to the second movie to give us Supersonic. Spoiler alert.
Right.
For the folks at home. But I'm really surprised they made us. I'm not super shocked by those. I'm really shocked they did not give us Fire Mario. Like truly, I'm shocked by that.
Yeah. I actually, I think they did a good job with those. I mean, I'm actually surprised. Like I knew they can't fit all of them in, and they got the main ones. Like you obviously have to do the main, just like getting bigger one first, and they have the Tanuki suit and stuff. I actually kind of wish though that whole ending sequence. I wish that it was the cape or the Tanuki suit. They did have the cape in the commercial in the beginning. Like him and Luigi are on a stool, like pretending that they're flying, and there's the yellow cape.
Yeah, that's true.
So they kind of have it there. But I kind of wish that I know the Tanuki suit is the most famous, but it's also like I think if I brought my mom to see this movie and she doesn't know the every power up, she knows Mario, but she doesn't know like all those power ups. I think a lot of people would be like, "This is the most random. Why is he like flying in a bear suit?" So I personally would have much preferred if I think they did everything great. I just would have maybe switched the Tanuki suit for the wing cap from Mario 64 or the cape, one of the two, because they make more sense to like someone who doesn't know Mario. Like, oh, he has a cape and he can fly. Duh. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that just makes way more sense. That's actually probably the only part of the movie that I actually don't like that much is like the whole giant bullet bill, and then he's flying in the Tanuki suit, and like in the game, the Tanuki suit doesn't have a propeller like that, and that's not the way he flies. And Bullet Bill, you don't hit him in the eyeball. Like, it was a little too weird. It was like so specific.
It was very strange.
It was so specific and weird. I don't know. But outside of that, I think, yeah, they did a good job with the power-ups. I think if I had to pick one that I would really want for like another movie, it would 100% be the Metal Mario from 64 with the song.
Yeah.
With the song. Like, I would love it if they just did that. He just goes underwater and he's just like, that would be sick.
Yeah, that was I think we got like the really good power-ups. Like obviously they can't showcase all of them. But again, it was just some strange choices for sure. And also, like, it technically wasn't at a bonsai bill. If that's like the really big one, like I know we got to use. Like if it's a big one, it's a bonsai bill. If it's underwater, it's a torpedo Ted. Like we have to,
torpedo Ted. I've never heard that.
Yeah, I don't want the. You know who I'm sad wasn't in this movie? Charge and Chuck. This movie was severely lacking in Charge and Chuck.
There's some enemies that I actually would have liked. I love that they had the King Bob. By the way, that's my number one.
King Bob and King Boo make appearances. Like,
I'm a Mario 64 guy. Like that's my number one Mario game. So. The fact that they had him at the wedding was hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many. Like, we already know this movie's destined to get like a million sequels. And part of the fun of each movie is going to be, what power-ups are in each movie. And this time they have these 3 or 4. And like, they have an infinite amount. Like the cherry one they could do at some point where he duplicates. Like, they could do so much with all these power-ups.
As long as we don't get like the flying squirrel, as long as we don't get the flying squirrel suits from like the new Super Mario Brothers games, like,
I'm like, what was the point of that? It's just a Tanuki, but a different. Yeah, that one. I want the propeller head one. That one's cool. The boomerang guy, or like the Hammer Bros one.
Yeah.
The Metal Mario, obviously.
B Mario, that'd be a fun one, obviously, if we're gonna.
Or the Cloud one. I think the Cherry one is the coolest. I think 3D World had the best power-ups.
Yeah, and they showed that movie a lot of love in this film. Like, they showed Bowser in a wedding suit. Like, they, obviously the cat suit plays a big part in the movie. Like, Mario 3D got a lot of love in this movie.
I feel like I think it's Odyssey and 3D put together. Mario 3D World and Odyssey put together.
I agree. So let's talk about the post-credit scenes here. So obviously the movie ends off with Mario and Luigi saving Brooklyn. They have redeemed themselves as not losers. They now live in the Mushroom Kingdom, presumably solving crime and fixing plumbing. So the credits play, and everybody was taking their picks on like which big Mario characters are going to be. We're going to get Rosalina reference in some capacity. Like, she mentioned there's a lot of Peach makes reference to there's a lot of galaxies out there to be explored. A subtle nod to the Super Mario variety of galaxies. Are we gonna see Wario? Are we gonna see who are we gonna see? I said my prediction, it was gonna be Yoshi, voiced by like Adam Sandler or like Steve Carell, like some like really off-colored person that shouldn't be voicing Yoshi, like just to make it like incredibly funny.
It should just be Yoshi voiced by an actual guy named Yoshi from Japan.
That'd be pretty funny. But instead, so we get the post-credit scene. We obviously we're trekking through the underground of the city, where the original warp pipe is, and we end on a singular shot of a hatching Yoshi egg.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Any big picture thoughts on this?
I'm the wrong guy to ask because I actually hate Yoshi, bro. And it's not just all right, so just for some people to understand, me and Kyle met through competitive Smash. So
it's true.
The number one character I've always hated in Smash is Mario. I absolutely, I hate fighting Mario. I hate him in every Smash game. To this day, I honestly just rage fighting Mario. That being said, I love Mario outside of Smash and Luigi, but I hate them in Smash. Yoshi, on the other hand, I never liked Yoshi, even as a kid. I never played as him in Mario Kart or Mario Party. I don't like playing as him in Smash. I hate fighting him in Smash Brothers. And when I play a 2D Mario game and I have to do something as Yoshi, I just skip it. Like I don't, you know how you can beat the game without Yoshi. Like you never have to use him. So I never did. I just did. I don't know what it is. I can't even say it's a rational thing at this point. I just hate Yoshi, and I don't know why. So this ending of this movie, I was like, oh god. Like I guess it could be kind of interesting that Yoshi's in the city because they end with Mario's in the Mushroom Kingdom, and he's like, who knows what he's doing there? I mean, I don't know if things need to be fixed in the Mushroom Kingdom. And then Yoshi is in the real world, so they'll probably do some kind of thing like that where they're traveling between both or something, and there's a dinosaur in New York City, and he's eating stuff like, you know.
Oh, what if we get like a reverse like Yoshi story where it's like Mario and Luigi have to take a baby Yoshi back to its family?
Yeah, and remember that in like the new Super Mario Brothers games, like a fully grown Yoshi doesn't come out of the egg. It's always like that little baby guy. And
then you have to, I hate that guy.
I think you have to like feed him for him to be a real Yoshi. So yeah, I know. I mean, it's a guaranteed. They do this all the time where they're like, okay, sequel has Yoshi in it. So they did this like Mario 64 doesn't really have Yoshi in it. You can't really use him even though he's in the game. And then Sunshine, you use Yoshi a lot. And then they had Mario Galaxy, doesn't have Yoshi, but Mario Galaxy 2, Yoshi's the big thing. And then like, they kind of always do that where like the sequel is going to have Yoshi and that's going to be the big thing. So I think it's a good idea for a movie. Maybe I'll like Yoshi in a movie for once and not, I can stop hating this character that just wears shoes. You know what I mean? Like he's just wearing shoes. Dude, it's so funny. It's like DK just wears a tie. Yoshi just wears shoes.
That's disgusting.
Banjo-Kazooie just wears shorts and a backpack. And Diddy Kong wears a hat and a sweater. Between all of them, they can make one outfit.
God steal their fit.
They literally had like one guy's suitcase appeared in the Mushroom Kingdom and all of them got one article of clothing and walked out. Yoshi was like, look, I just got the shoes and that's it. And
hey, Yoshi, am I right?
DJ got a tie and he's good.
Oh my God. I was honestly banking on like a Rosalina or something because like they spent so much time showing us this Luma character. Like I thought they'd show the Luma like returning to its mom or something like that. But I don't know. Like I said, they got plenty of stuff. Like, is Mario going to go on vacation in this next movie and something goes haywire? Like, is he going to get thrown in prison? Is he like, what's like, they have so many avenues that can go here. So like, obviously, this movie made $1 kajillion. It's breaking records everywhere. It's like the 7th highest grossing movie of the year.
It's the biggest animated opening movie of all time, ahead of any Pixar or Disney movie, which is insane.
And that's crazy. Yeah, it's insane, unprecedented. Insane. I mean, precedented. Obviously, if this movie was decent, it was going to print money.
Miyamoto prints money, bro.
You don't fuck around, man.
Miyamoto's the money printer, bro.
So where would you like to see this movie go sequel wise? Like what's Glentendo's ideal Mario Brothers sequel movie?
I just want to be surprised more. So I honestly don't know. I mean, it's like so Uncharted that it's like, how do you make a sequel to this movie? Like, do you just tell another story? It's not going to be about Mario and Luigi. It's maybe going to be about other characters. I mean, if I just want to keep it really broad and general, I want to see Wario voiced by like Danny DeVito or something. Like Wario is the coolest character in Mario history. Obviously, I also like Waluigi, but I know Waluigi is not as interesting. Like I almost like him almost as a joke. Like he just looks cool, but he's not that interesting. He just looks really cool. But Wario is awesome. So like, I don't know, maybe there's a pipe from Sicily and it ends up Wario ends up in the Mushroom Kingdom. Everybody thinks he's Mario. Who knows? I don't know what they can do with it, but I want to see a movie where Wario is the villain of the next movie. Yeah. And I want to see them just go really far with it and just keep it like they did it with this one where it's really funny and like, I don't know. Yeah, I think Wario would be what I would want personally.
Yeah, I've seen the fan casting of like Danny DeVito and Willem Dafoe as like voicing Waluigi and like it's perfect. It's a match made in heaven. Like I think it's a perfect combination. You already have like the MCU connection through the backlogs there. You have the Always Sunny connection there. It's perfect shit. It makes sense. Yeah. Here's like I feel like they have to introduce like one of those two major characters. Like they might save Rosalina for some other shit because she's like way off doing her own shit. But like I would love it if just like not even to make them from New York. Like what if Wario and Waluigi like own a rival plumbing company in like Hoboken or something? Like
they're from New Jersey.
Yeah, it's like, oh, these guys are from New Jersey.
He's from the dump yard of New Jersey. That's why he smells like that.
He's from like Weehawken or something.
Yeah, that's a turnpike, bro. Wario's got
he's
that
like, he's from over the
stench.
bridge. We don't like these guys. And then like they, I think that makes the most sense. I'd love to see like Pianta love. I'd love to see Mario Sunshine. I'd love to see Mario in his like if his like 100% outfit in Mario Sunshine. Yeah. Mostly despite myself because I wasted a whole summer of my life, trying to unlock that. But yeah, I get this. Whatever, it'll probably be like a couple of years from now. We'll most likely.
Yeah.
But I hope they take
it would be 3 years. Like
these
animated movies take so long. Yeah, they're not. I think the one thing that is good about Nintendo is that we all know that they love to delay things, and they're not in a rush to do anything ever. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna keep the Switch out for 7 years, and we're gonna delay Zelda 3 times. You know what I mean? Like they don't.
Yeah,
I think that's a good thing. I think that's actually a good thing. Like even this movie was delayed. It was supposed to come out this past holiday. And then they delayed it till now. So
I'm glad they did.
Yeah, it turned out great.
It definitely paid off. I would love to see what was left on the cutting room floor of this movie. Like I can't wait to hear all about what comes out there.
I mean, there's some scenes that you could see in the trailer are cut. Like, do you remember the scene where Mario and Peach are walking through that bridge with the Cheeps?
Yes.
And like they're on their way to the Kong place. It's in that. It's just in the movie. It's just a montage, and they show you them walking through a bunch of different places. But one of the commercials had one of the trailers had like that scene was extended where the Cheep gets on Mario's face, and he's like, take it off, and they yank it off, and like there was a little bit more to it. But in the movie, they cut it. So who knows? Maybe there was like an extra 10, 15 minutes of stuff that they just maybe they were playing it really safe, and they're like, just make this. It's Mario. It's not gonna be that deep. Nobody wants to see a 2-hour Mario movie. Let's just cut this down. So we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, man. We have, like I said, it's a great time to be like, if you're a fan of video games and adaptations, it's a great time to be a fan, man. Like we mentioned, The Last of Us was the best show on television this last season. It's gonna, that's gonna continue to be good, I'm sure. Moving forward, we got the Sonic movie coming out again next year. Like Sonic 3's dropping next year. It's just it's a fun time, man. I think they're finally starting to grasp what's going on here. And I know you would fail to not put me on the spot here to say this. I'll say it. This was better than the Sonic movie.
I was gonna save that for the end.
I'll go on record.
On the record, is this better than the Sonic movie?
I think it is, and I think it's because, like we mentioned at the top, this is able to play more into the world of Mario mostly because it's also an animated movie, and like when you kind of think about it thematically, like Sonic interacts way more with real people. Has Mario kissed a real woman before? I don't know.
Thank God he hasn't.
But Sonic has, digital. Unfortunately.
Let's keep this animated and cartoony, please.
There's that aspect of like, oh yeah, the Sonic movie, it can exist in its own world, and it's still really good. We can have both of these really good franchises. Exist. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited for the future, man. I can go to sleep at night knowing that this movie wasn't a bust, and that I'm not going to be made fun of by my relatives for the rest of my life for being a Mario fan. So, while the MCU continues to disappoint me and kind of let me down in certain places, at least I can lean back on real cinema. What I'm saying? So
yeah. Final thoughts on the movie, I would say, are like, don't listen to the critics. They're really wrong about this movie. It's not, The Godfather. You know what I mean? There's Italians in it, but it's not The Godfather. And I think that it was really fun. The animation is like 10 out of 10. That's like another thing for me that like, if I watch something that's animated, I personally just really don't like bad animation or mediocre animation. This animation was through the roof. The jokes are through the roof. The music is through the roof. The voice acting is incredible. I think the movie doesn't overstay its welcome. I think they could have embellished the story elements more, but unlike what a lot of people are saying, I think it is there. Like there is a good story in here, and there are good characters and emotional moments in there. We could have used more of it, but it is there. That's definitely the weakest part of the movie. Outside of that, man, like this movie has left everyone I know who's seen it like glowing. Like everyone just has such a good time with it. I can't remember the last movie that was like this, where like my whole family was like, this was so fun that we just feel good. This is such a good time.
Yeah. I loved it. I can't wait to see this with my family. My brother has kids who are like in their video game phase now, so like, I'm very excited to see this with my nephews who like Mario and also like Sonic, and I'm gonna make them choose right in front of my brother. So I'm very excited for what the future of this movie is. I still never seen a Despicable Me movie, so I'm gonna plan on keeping it that way. So, but yeah, that pretty much wraps up everything. Glenn, first and foremost, thank you for coming out of retirement, podcast retirement, to come talk about this movie with me. I'm very, very appreciative of your time and your effort, and I know the long running fans of the Glentendo podcast will be happy to hear your voice again. So.
I did it for Mario. Has nothing to do with you. I did this for Mario. This is my salute.
As a fellow Italian, you have to do it for him.
I had to stand up for my boy Mario.
Stand up and sit down. Glenn, if there's an internet presence you want to direct people towards, if there's a cause you want to tell people to look towards, where can the people find you, or where can you recommend they find good stuff?
I am proud to say that I don't have a podcast, I don't have a show, I don't have a Patreon, I don't have a YouTube channel, I don't have anything. All right, I don't have social media anymore. I don't use anything. I have nothing to sell you. I'm purely here to entertain you for these brief moments. I have no other reason to be here. There's nothing for me to sell you. There's no money is going to be asked of you. This was purely for fun. I don't know if that even exists anymore on the internet. You don't need there's nowhere to follow me. I don't tweet. I don't do anything.
I can't remember the last time I had fun, in on the internet, if I'm being honest.
Oh my God, man. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm just completely sober in that regard. And yeah, just, I guess, keep an eye out. Maybe I'll appear on this show again if Kyle wants to continue.
I'll have you back. We got to talk about Barbie, man. I need someone to talk about that movie with. So.
I don't know if I'm the guy for that one.
You might be the guy. I actually think it'll be better that way. What?
I'm gonna give that a chance because the director Greta Gerwig, she's awesome. Love Greta Gerwig. She's done some awesome movies. The fact that she's the one they picked for this is hilarious. I'll give it a shot just based off that. And then obviously Margot Robbie's in it. So
big Margot Robbie fan for sure. Maybe not what maybe I don't know, man. The opening trailer for the spoiler warning for the trailer of Barbie, they show Margot Robbie taking her shoes off, and I'm just like, I'm out. I can't do it again. Yeah. I'm not again, man. You can't catch me. Although it's just funny because it's just the Barbie feat where it's like you can stab someone with them, they're so sharp. It's funny stuff. I think that movie's gonna crush, and I'm very excited to talk about it. Or we could talk about everyone's favorite fascist Batman when Oh
my God!
I don't want to hurt you like that.
Just said that in the movie, man.
Yeah, George Lopez is definitely on your list now.
We were in the theater, me and my family, to watch Mario, and I was the Blue Beetle trailer comes on, and I told them as the trailer's on, I'm like, the last line of this trailer is the reason I will never watch this movie. And they're like, what? What does that even and what does that mean? And then last line of the trailer, Batman's a fascist, and I'm like, yeah. I'll never watch this.
How many pegs did George Lopez fall down your tier list of comedians after that?
I can't believe it. Yeah, you're gonna call Batman a fascist? No, you can't do that.
That's why James Gunn's rebooting the whole thing. He can't have that message out there. So.
I think if anything, the one thing that might be appropriate for me to come back on for is the Flash movie.
But we're gonna have to talk about. Nah, man, I'm gonna make you see it.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna see it yet.
I will buy your ticket.
But they have Michael Keaton as Batman. I almost have to go to pay my
Glenn,
respects.
as your friend, as someone who
respects.
I mean this when I say this, Glenn. I love you. You're my friend. I will buy your ticket for you. We'll go see it together. We'll make a date out of it. We'll have fun.
All right. You might have to hold my hand on this date, man. I might need a shoulder to cry on this date. You might be signing yourself up for a little more than just a normal movie date experience, my friend.
Yeah, we'll get dinner. It's fine. We'll make it happen. So
You have to walk me to my door. You have to open the door for me. I'm gonna be inconsolable watching them massacre my boy. I'm like literally
he was a made man.
They're gonna massacre my boy. Oh,
I can't wait. And you guys
I'm gonna
look
pay
forward to
them
that.
money. I'm gonna pay them money to watch them massacre my boy. That's what's gonna happen.
I'll do even better. I'll save my free movie credits from Cinemark, so we don't even have to pay to see the movie.
Jeez. Jeez, man.
What a country. I can't wait. So
you
guys can look forward. You guys can put that on your calendar. I'm gonna have Glenn back for all the big summer blockbusters. We'll make a party of it. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. But thank you guys. If you guys want to keep up with me, I'm on Twitter at KoopaNJ. I'm at this point, I'm just kind of making podcasts whenever I have time. So that's mostly where my head is at. Currently with my schedule and everything. But if you want to see me, talk about movies and Sonic and Pokemon cards that I have, you can follow me over on the internet at KoopaNJ across platforms. I don't know, maybe popping up in a city near you. I don't know. You never know. It's a long summer. Know what I'm saying? Definitely if it's 90 degrees right now. So I'm going to go take the coldest shower of my life. Folks, thank you guys so much for checking out the show. Check us out at Koop'd Pod. Check out all of our other content that we got there. We have some of your favorites. Glenn's on the show a bunch. We talk about, Justice League and Spider-Man and, all this, a whole bunch of other shit. So you can check out the discography there. So, Harris was a wonderful night, everybody, and let's go.